Hey guys, it's Alan with Mountaintop. I want to talk about Snowbike Gearing. Not necessarily the best gear ratio that you can have for a snow bike, but more about how we do it here at Mountaintop, how we measure the gearing on the snow bike. I thought it would be good to just show you how I do it, because it's a really great way to compare apples to apples to other snow bike brands. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of what I do. So what I do is I measure track rollout. I don't go off of a gear ratio. It's really hard to go off a gear ratio because it's a bunch of complicated math. And all snow bikes, all brands of snow bikes have different gear sets on them, whether they're a belt drive or a chain drive. Everybody's got something different. So this is a way to measure gearing and compare apples to apples. So I'm going to walk you through what I do here and how I do this. So really what I'm doing is I'm measuring track rollout, inches of track rollout to 1 revolution on the engine sprocket. So 1 revolution equals inches of track rollout. This is an accurate way to measure gearing. Step number 1 is going to be to remove the chain guide or chain guard around the engine sprocket. Set that down there. The next step is you're going to want to put 2 marks on your bike. Well, essentially 4 marks. So 1 mark is going to be right here on your engine sprocket, and a second mark on your engine case. And you just want to make the marks line up, like basically so they're timed. The second set of marks that you want to put on are going to be on the track and on the high fax. So I put it right here on the high fax, on the side of the high fax, and right on top of one of the track clips, maybe on the track just a little bit so I can see it. Okay, so that is my start point. The next thing you're going to want to do is you want to get a ratchet and a socket to put on your engine sprocket bolt. I like to put an extension on so it sticks out past the foot peg so I can turn it all the way around easily. So what I'm going to do with my marks in place, I'm going to just rotate the drive, the engine sprocket 1 revolution, rotating the drive system and the track. 1 full revolution, and line up those marks. Again, it's going to back up a little bit on you, so you kind of got to finesse it because the track, the rubber track, causes it to not want to stay put. Okay. All right, so you've made 1 full revolution. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to come back to the track and you're going to measure the inches of track rollout. So from your mark on the side of your high fax to the mark on your clip. Okay, so this bike here measures 12 3/4 inches. So that is 12 3/4 inch of track rollout to 1 revolution on the engine sprocket. So the next big question is what does this number mean? So we talked about this bike having 12 3/4 inch track rollout, and so how does that compare to Snowbike Gearing? Is that a high gear, a low gear, an average gear? Well, I can say this. We have a chart on our website under the manual tab. You can go in there and find gearing. It's basically a chart that tells you how to do this with some pictures, and it has some comparisons in there and will show you what is high gearing and what is low gearing. So just to point out what low gearing would mean, so if you had less inches of track rollout, that would be considered a lower gear, a slower gear. It would go slower. And a higher number, so very low gearing would be around 11 inches of track rollout. This one had 12 3/4. That's really middle of the road, and high gearing is considered 13.5 to 14 inches of track rollout. At 14 inches of track rollout, snow bikes have a pretty hard time pulling top gear, going up a mountain road, to give you an idea. So this one's very in the middle. So to compare that to something else, you know, if you were to do this same test on a timber sled or a Yeti or a rail or a CMX kit, you're gonna find that they're all pretty close in gearing within a ½ inch of each other. So you can go home and do this test to your own bike and be able to tell what the gear ratio of your bike is. You can tell if it's a high gear or low gear, or compare that to something that your friends would have if you're trying to tune in your gearing on your snow bike. So again, this information is on our website. It's basically just a document, a sheet that tells you how to do this and has some comparisons in there for you to look at.